This is Lady T 506. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the Real Housewives of Atlanta Season 3 Episode 9 review. Okay, the show gets started. Phaedra, she's coming home from the hospital after, giving birth to her son. And she lets everybody know that she had to stay in the hospital, I think a week extra. I think because her blood pressure went up. I believe that was it. And as they're driving home, I don't know why, but I'm assuming that her baby was born in, late spring, early summer, because, Phaedra's wearing a sundress. But why is her baby in this look almost like wool crochet outfit? And I'm thinking, that looks like it's too hot for that baby to be having on. But she's like, oh, my baby's fashionable. Apollo's trying to tell her, hey, he's too hot and all that stuff. And she just, and she was, steady talking how, she's used to, just get up and going shopping and doing this. And she's like, now that I got this baby, I don't know how I'm going to be able to do all the stuff I'm used to be doing. I'm like, Phaedra, this is your child that you done brought into this world. If I hear one more negative comment from Phaedra about her child, I think I'm just going to lose it. So we done with Phaedra and Apollo. Oh, yeah, the baby's name is Aiden. Adonis, whatever his last name was, but yeah. Candy, she had her show, Candy Coated Nights, and she's moved it from her studio into her little boutique store that she has, and she invites all the housewives except Phaedra, to come over, and they get into the discussion of, what is your freak level and all that stuff. And I was like, for somebody, Candy, she sure is always talking about sex and when somebody's sex life. I thought that was kind of strange, Not too many people want to, if you among your friends, yeah, but not to the whole world talking about what you like to do and what you don't like to do. And she's on there sounding like she's an expert on what level of freakness they are. And Sheree says she's like a 9.5 or a 12 or something like that, and Nene's like, oh, I'm not like that. And they gave her a 3, and Cynthia, I think she's like a 6 or something. And the whole situation was just bizarre, because you don't really want to talk about your own self to the world like that unless you really comfortable. And Kim and Nene felt very uncomfortable, but Sheree, she was right up in it. And Candy, I guess since that show, she likes that too, but she sure is, curious about everybody's sex life. We gonna get over to Kim. Her daughter is, I believe, 13 years old, and, a lot of girls, I guess she's had some friends that are, have lost their virginity, so her and her daughter have a talk, and, her daughter wants to get a promise ring saying that she's not going to have sex until a certain age. I thought that was really nice, and she was going to get her ring for it, but I did not think she needed to spend no $3,000 on no ring. You could have got her a nice, simple ring. 13-year-old does not need to be walking around with $3,000 worth of jewelry on. Maybe that's just me. I just don't think so. You could have went to Walmart and got her a ring. Even if it wasn't at Walmart, it could have been at that jewelry store, but something, maybe $200-300. Maybe that's just me. Candy, she is in, the studios with, I guess, her producers and engineers, and they're trying to rework the song. The Ring Didn't Mean a Thing for Kim, and, Kim already said a few episodes ago that she didn't really like the song. She didn't like the way the song started off. She was saying how, when I heard Don't Be Tardy for the Party, I was like, ooh, yeah, I was singing it to everybody, and letting everybody hear it, but this song she didn't like. And, Candy's like, I put all that work and Don't Be Tardy for a Party, and I didn't get paid. And, if you don't like this song, I could give it to somebody who's going to give me my money for it. So they reworked it. And Candy, her and her mom went over, I guess it was Kim's mom and dad's house, and they had dinner. And, Kim's dad was saying how, when I get up, I listen for Don't Be Tardy for the Party, and when, the next song gonna be out. Her mom's like, yeah, when your next song gonna be out? And, Kim was saying how Don't Be Tardy for the Party, made her up hear this new song. She's having pressure, I don't know from who, but apparently she's under pressure to make this second song even hotter. So her and Candy, they go to her car, and they listen to the song, and Kim likes it, so I guess they're gonna go forward with that. Cynthia and Peter, they're going to, I think that's like event planner, because she already has her wedding planner, but she needs like a decorator or event planner or something like that to make her wedding just as special as ever. And Peter's like, whatever she wants, I'm happy with that. So it's some dude in Atlanta, and they decided, hey, we're gonna go with him. Nene and Kim meet up, and she's saying how she's like wanting to divorce Greg every other day. She done left him like a million times because they are no longer communicating. And on last night's episode, she went to see a divorce, attorney's like, what are her options? If I sign this, are we separated? And I guess when she told Greg just went off, because I'm assuming it was a few days later. Kim comes up to Candace like, yeah, I got this text, and it's Greg on the radio saying how, yeah, him and Nene, they getting a divorce, and he done put $300,000 into, making her who she is. And don't forget that's my nephew wanted to pop in on me. He done put $3,000 into her. Hold on. Sorry about that, nephew wanted to pop in here and I guess get his little time on the video. But anyways, like I was saying, he's saying how I didn't spent $300,000 making Nene who she is. She done got her a little fame, and now she done forgot all that stuff. I want money for this, I want money for that. And Candy, she's like, I knew they were having problems, but she was hoping that they would work it out. And Kim was like, oh my goodness, Nene's gonna flip. Well, Sheree and Lawrence, they at the gym, and he's telling her about all this, and he's like, I don't think Greg knew that he was gonna be put on the radio like that, because apparently him and the dude were talking, and I guess dude just put him on speakerphone and like, oh, I'm gonna just go ahead and put this on the air. So Nene, she's at her new job at the news station. And, she gets to her desk, and, she get on the computer, and bam, pops her face, and she's like, oh my goodness. And, the woman, I guess her boss comes over and lets her know, this could be grounds for, you being fired, a negative light on you, you can get fired from that. So she's like, oh my goodness. So she goes home, and her and Greg have it out. She's like, what, $300,000 I gave you? And he was like, maybe I exaggerated, me and you, we just had this fight, I was mad, maybe I shouldn't have did that. But he was like, I thought I was talking to a friend of mine, I didn't know I was being recorded. If I had, I wouldn't have said anything. And she's saying how, you didn't give me no $300,000. She's like, what about the money I gave you? The 13 years I've been with you. When I met you, you didn't have nothing. I didn't marry you because you had money. I married you because I loved you. I done gave you a baby and this, that, and the third. And she's like, I come from a broken home, and I would never do like this to you. They just have it out. And, he goes off to one way, she goes off to another room. We're going to get into Miss Sheree. Sheree, she finally meets up with Dr. Taib to, find out, he been lying, this, that, and the third. Which, everybody know he was lying. They having dinner, and he shows up, they talking. She's like, basically, why did you lie? Lying, that ain't for me. He's like, every time I try to get talk with you, she was like, well, you wanted to take me to the Holiday Inn. They steady arguing. She's like, prove it that you a doctor, prove it you a doctor. He doggone pulls out, this ain't no piece of paper. He's like, I got the proof right here, I got the proof. Can you prove you a woman? He's steady trying to show this, a piece of paper, but this ain't really a piece of paper, it's a notebook. He stayed like, I got the proof right there. She's like, let me see. He's like, well, let me see you proof that you a woman. He's like, when you called my son, you just say, can I speak to Taib? You wouldn't like, oh, baby, how you doing? Let me talk to Taib. She's like, why would I say that to your son? They get into it. He walks away. She walks away. That was like basically the end of, what happened on the episode. I hope you thumbs up, like this video, comment, subscribe, and tell a friend. This is Lady T signing off. Have a good one.